Yeah, you say you want change. You say you're going to change. You talk about wanting peace and growth and alignment. But the fact of the matter is, whenever your life starts shifting to actually bring what you want, you suddenly panic. You sabotage the relationship that feels healthy. You don't take the opportunity that could move you forward. Because despite you being unhappy, despite you saying you want to change, you convince yourself that you're better off just staying where you are. Whole time you're dreaming of something else, wanting something better, miserable where you are. But my, oh my, how alluring is that zone of comfort, even though the comfort zone is mired in that makes you unhappy. You see, people stay in what's familiar, even if what's familiar is killing them. I've said this 6 times before, and I'm going to say it at least 2 more times. The fear of change, it doesn't show up as fear. It shows up as overthinking, second guessing, and self-sabotaging. People don't avoid change because they don't want to change. They avoid it because their nervous system has been trained to find safety in what's familiar, even if that familiarity is filled with chaos, dysfunction, or pain. To the body, familiar equals safe. And unfamiliar, even if it's healing, even if it's growth, even if it's an upgrade, it can actually feel like a threat because the brain was wired to chase certainty. It wasn't wired to chase peace. So even when things start moving in the right direction, it doesn't feel right. It feels off. It feels foreign. Therefore, the body reacts like there's something wrong. Even when it's something that you prayed for, even when it's something that you really want. And that's the trap. That's why you keep going back to something that you know. Not because it's better, just because it's safer to your nervous system. So even when you try to change, your nervous system pulls you back. Back to the habits, back to the people, back to the same mindset that matches the old wiring that you're not happy with. And unless you learn to sit in the discomfort of the new thing, new thought, new behavior, new action, you're going to keep repeating the familiar pain of the old thing. Your mind and your body learned how to survive by staying the same. Now it's time to learn how to feel safe by doing something different. And here's the thing, your body is going to fight that because it was never taught how to feel safe outside of that pattern that you created. And this fear, the fear of change, it gets programmed early. Some people grew up in chaos where change always meant danger. New school, new city, a new tone in somebody's voice. Change always meant loss, instability, or trauma. So now, even as an adult, the moment that something unfamiliar shows up, even if it's good, your body kicks into defense. And that makes you delay, it makes you doubt, it makes you question the timing. And you got to understand that the fear of change does not come from logic. It comes from your wiring. It's your nervous system doing what it was trained to do. And the only way through it, the only way to get over the fear of change is to stop expecting it to feel comfortable. And this is why people stay in jobs that they hate for years. Not because they want to, but because they're scared. Scared of the unknown, scared of losing stability, scared of what happens if it doesn't work. Now, even though they're not consciously telling themselves that they're scared, their actions say that they are. Because they're miserable and they're still staying. Because their mind, it tells them, this is the best I can do. Well, at least it's a paycheck. Now it's just not the right time to leave. That's not logic. That's fear in disguise. And it's got you and other people stuck in a life that's unfulfilling. Look, I've been where you are. Waking up every day, dreading the next 10 hours, waiting for the weekend. And the whole time just telling myself, I'm going to leave eventually. I don't know if you've heard this story, but humor me if you have. November 2018, I wrote in my goals notebook that I'd be able to leave this particular job by July 2019. I got laid off July 25th, 2019. I reached my goal. Now, for me, that was a massive blessing, getting laid off, because I wanted so bad to leave, but I didn't have the courage to do so. So even though I was miserable, I would have stayed. Miserable, safe, stuck. But God's got a sense of humor. And so I was forced to leave. But that's what fear does. It keeps you in what you hate just because it's familiar, just because it feels normal. But you don't have to live like that. Now, listen, I'm not saying quit your job with no plan. But what I am saying is update your resume. Start putting feelers out. Understand you have options. I've seen it over and over again. People leave a job that they hate and they get a new job. And the new job gives them more happiness, more freedom, more money, more peace, all because they had the guts to walk away. And let me tell you from my experience and from the experience of other people I've spoken to, that last day when you're driving out of that parking lot, there is a weight that is lifted off of your shoulders. I don't know any other way to express it other than you feel a literal weight being lifted off of your shoulders when you leave that parking lot for the last time. Then there are other people that I know hated a job, go and get a new job, and then hated that and came back to the job that they were unhappy with. But that's what comfort does. It pulls you back into the thing that's draining you just because it's familiar. But you've got to listen to that voice that's inside of you, that voice that's screaming for more peace, more fulfillment, more joy, more life. You're going to be fine. Actually, scratch that. You're going to be free. And once you cross that line, you're going to see what you're really made of. You're going to finally understand your worth. And not because somebody gave you permission, but because you're finally done asking for it. And the moment you do, everything around you in your life shifts. Because your change isn't just going to affect you. It's going to ripple out and affect the people around you too. Whether it's leaving a job, setting a boundary, breaking a pattern, or finally putting yourself first. Anytime you start showing up different, people are going to feel it. Because when you get on that train to growth, to becoming a better person, you're going to stop answering phone calls. You're going to stop explaining yourself to people or feeling like you have to. You're going to start saying no to what drains you. And you're going to spend less time around the people that you used to spend time with whenever you needed that external validation. You stop chasing, you stop proving, you stop performing, and you don't feel like you need to explain why you're pulling back. Because you finally know and understand what peace feels like. And certain people cannot go with you to that new level. But then the comments come, oh, you've changed. You're acting different. You think you're better than everybody. You sure don't come around much anymore. People start projecting their discomfort onto you because your growth is going to highlight their stagnation. And it's not going to be a conscious thing. It's going to be a subconscious thing that they're dealing with internally. Your peace is going to expose their chaos. Your courage is going to remind them of their own fear. And the thing is, they would rather see you familiar than to see you free, because then they don't have to change. And if you don't recognize it for what it is, you're going to shrink right back to continue being accepted. You're going to start walking backwards from where you're trying to go just so you don't make people feel uncomfortable. But you're going to have to understand that their reaction is not about you. It's about them protecting their comfort. And most of the time, like I said, they don't even realize that they're doing it. It's not conscious. It's not calculated. It's all subconscious. It's just their nervous system responding to a shift in energy. Your change creates pressure because it challenges their patterns. Because if you stop tolerating dysfunction, they're going to have to look at themselves and wonder why they still are. The fact is, your growth is going to become a mirror for a lot of people. And as you know, most people don't like looking in the mirror. Most people don't even have the capability of doing so, not looking at themselves objectively. But you have to understand, it's not a rejection. It's self-protection. It's a subconscious defense. So you've got to learn to keep on walking, even when they don't clap for you, even when it makes other people feel uncomfortable, because their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their healing is theirs. Yours starts with action, because having all this insight and not changing anything, it just perpetuates the same cycle. If you want different, then you have to start moving different. You don't have to fix the fear, but you just have to stop obeying the fear. And here's how that starts. Number one, you need to name the pattern. What keeps pulling you backwards? Do you always talk yourself out of applying for a better job? Do you always chase people who treat you like an option? Do you always put everybody else first instead of yourself? You need to say it out loud. Write it down. You got to be real with yourself. What's pulling you backwards? The second step is you need to decide what you want instead. You got to get real specific. Clarity is what's going to give you the direction. Do you want to be in a relationship where you feel safe and seen? Do you want to be in a job where you feel respected and you have room to grow? Do you want a life that you're not constantly drained? You need to keep that vision in front of you. What do you want? Keep the vision in front of you. Let it guide your decisions. The next thing you need to do is you need to create a structure that supports this. You can't try to change everything overnight. You have to start simple. Because if you start trying to change everything in one day, you're going to become overwhelmed. You're not going to make any progress. You're going to regress back into who you were. You're going to lose your confidence. You're going to become bitter again. And that's not what we want. So start small. Start by updating your resume. Start by setting a boundary with someone. Start by planning your meal for 2 days. Start by taking a walk, a 1-mile walk a day. Structure builds safety. And safety makes change sustainable. The fourth thing you need to do is you need to act before you feel ready. Stop waiting on the feeling to act. You need to act before you feel ready. Because if you wait until the fear goes away, you're never going to move. You need to apply for the job. Have the hard conversation. Post the content. Launch the idea. Make the phone call. You don't need to feel ready to do it. You just need to do it. You're going to be fine. Next thing you need to do is you need to track your triggers. You need to watch for moments when you want to retreat. Watch for moments when you want to fall back into those old patterns or that old behavior. Do you shut down when somebody compliments you? Do you panic when something good starts happening? Do you feel guilty resting or saying no? Those are just old patterns trying to survive. Don't judge them. It's just a pattern. Just figure out why you're doing it or when you're doing it. And notice it. Let it become a conscious thing. The more you do this, the easier it gets to become conscious of these things. That's true for myself in my own life. I started tracking how I feel. And so anytime I get frustrated or irritated, I can notice it. I notice the pattern. And so instead of staying pissed off or agitated for a long time, I've shortened it because I've become conscious of how I feel at all times. You do this often enough and the same thing will happen to you. Now, I'm not perfect. We're all human beings. So you're never going to be perfect. Sometimes you will remain frustrated or agitated longer than you want to. But the purpose is to shorten the distance. The purpose is to become conscious of those and begin changing them. Lastly, you need to repeat those new behaviors until it becomes your new baseline. At first, it's going to feel weird, maybe even fake. But that's just because your nervous system isn't used to it yet. You got to do it anyway, again and again, until your body finally believes this is who we are now. Now here's the thing. Staying the same is always going to feel safer until it doesn't. And Tony Robbins has a great quote on this. He says, people don't change until the pain of remaining the same outweighs the pain of change. That's a mouthful, but it's a wonderful quote and so true. And you already know the feeling. You wake up with that ache in your chest or that upset stomach because you got to go do something that you don't want to do, something that makes you miserable or unhappy. The frustration that comes from knowing that you're meant to do something more and you still aren't doing anything about it. I'll tell you, the longer that you delay, the more disconnected you're going to become from who you're truly meant to be. And the more days that you spend in places and behaviors that don't reflect your future, the harder it's going to be to walk away from them. So if you have that calling and you have that fire in your bones right now, I suggest you take the steps. Because otherwise you're going to stay here and you're going to be looking back in 20 years having done nothing. And you've got all these dreams and all these visions that you wanted to accomplish and you never did about it because you were scared to move. Not realizing the moving is what's going to set you free. The doing the thing scared is what's going to set you free and open up this wide array of abundance and life that you've been hiding from yourself. The fear of change wants to keep you in survival, but you're not meant to live in survival forever. You're meant to grow. You're meant to evolve, to lead, to walk in alignment of the identity that you choose, and not one that you've just been programmed into. Look, even if it feels like you're stuck, you're not stuck. You're unhappy. And you're still showing up to the same people, the same places, and the same patterns, hoping that something just changes. It won't. So, this is the part where you stop waiting. This is the part where you stop pretending you don't know what needs to change. Change is already happening. The only question is, are you going to resist it or are you going to rise with it? Because you already know what needs to happen. Now it's just a matter of if you're going to keep on choosing what's familiar or if you're finally going to step into what's possible for you. I suggest you step into what's possible. You do the hard thing. You're going to be fine. It's going to work out. Keep going. Look, I'm working on this free 5-day series that's going to help you uncover the limiting beliefs and the subconscious blocks that you have. It's going to help you uncover the way that you're talking to yourself and how to change it. It's going to help you to start building the mindset and the habits that are more aligned with the person that you want to be. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming up in a few weeks. I'll let you know whenever that drops. Again, it's free. It's going to help you. It's going to help you become the person that you can't stop dreaming about. If you take it serious, you do have to understand that changing your identity is not easy because the old identity is always going to fight the new identity. But the only way that you can become the best version of yourself is to change your identity into someone who is becoming the best version of themselves. You can't keep the same patterns, the same habits, and everything that got you to where you are. But anyway, changing your identity is what you need to do to become the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself is living a life of joy and peace and love and gratitude. And you can get there. If you're not there currently, you can get there. But anyway, I'll let you know when that drops. I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope this helped. If you could do me a favor, share, like, subscribe, do all those things because it helps the algorithm to push the video out to more people. And for you, it's just clicking a button. So I'd appreciate it if you did it. Thanks so much. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you on the next one.